In this video, we're going to take a look at the order of operations. First of all, the order of operations is important because in math we have to make sure that no matter who does a calculation, that given the same numbers and the same operations, they should come up with the same answer. So let me just show you a quick example of why this is important. Let's say that we have 2 plus 4 times 3. Okay, now if one person said, okay, 2 plus 4 is 6 times 3 is 18, okay, and another person said, well, 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2, we would have two different answers. And that's a problem. We can't have that. So it's really important that we follow the order of operations so that we always come up with the same answer. There are a number of ways to remember the order of operations, and these letters can help us. PEMDAS. Okay? Sometimes people will say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That's another way that we can remember the order of operations. But what those letters stand for, P is parentheses or grouping symbols. E stands for exponents. M is multiplication. D is division. A, of course, is addition, and S is subtraction. Now, a little bit more in terms of the multiplication and division and the addition and subtraction. We do multiplication and division from left to right in our particular expression, and also we do addition and subtraction from left to right. So it's not always addition before subtraction. Sometimes we'll do the subtraction first. And just something to be aware of, because that can sometimes trip us up. Alright, so PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Alright, so let's go ahead and apply the order of operations and some examples here. This first one, we look through. First thing I would suggest is see what operations are going on. Alright, well, we've got subtraction, we've got addition, and we've got an exponent, that 4 being squared. Exponents first, so because we don't have any grouping symbols here, so 4 squared is going to be 16. Now, another tip that I would give is rewrite the problem after you do something. Okay? Sometimes people will try and work this all in their head, and it's really easy to lose track of operations or even numbers sometimes if we don't rewrite the problem. The nice thing about these is the problem should become a little bit simpler with each step. Alright, now here's an example that I mentioned with the addition and subtraction. We do addition and subtraction from left to right. Well, there's subtraction first and then addition. We're not going to do this first. We're going to start with this subtraction over here. So we have 18 minus 12, which is going to be 6, and then we have plus 16. So finally we end up with 6 plus 16, which is 22. Okay? Alright, let's take a look at this next one. Got some grouping symbols here and lots of different operations. One thing to remember as you're working with the order of operations as well is remember when we have a number written next to a grouping symbol like this -2, there's multiplication there. So don't forget about that multiplication. Alright, then in this case we've got some grouping symbols. We go way inside here. We've got 3 minus 5. 3 minus 5 would be -2. So we have -2 and then times the quantity 7 plus 6 times -2. Again, that 6 is being multiplied by that 3 minus 5 part. Alright, then we take a look at this. At this point you can forget about what was originally there and just focus on what's left when you've rewritten it. Okay, well, inside the grouping symbol we have addition and multiplication. Got to do that multiplication first, so -2 is going to be left on the outside. That 7's just coming along for now. Then we've got 6 times -2. Well, that would be -12, like so. Then we are simpler again. Okay, so again I take a look. We've got 7 minus 12. Well, 7 minus 12 is negative 5. So now I'm down to negative 2 times negative 5. Remember that multiplication right there. Then finally, negative 2 times negative 5 is 10. Alright, now let's go up here and take a look at this one. Here's something we haven't seen yet, and it's a situation where we have a fraction bar. A fraction bar is another type of grouping symbol. We have the stuff that's on top of the fraction bar, the stuff that's below the fraction bar. We need to get all of those things simplified down first, and then the last thing we're going to do is the division that's represented by the fraction bar. So, let's start on the top. We have negative 16 plus 4 is going to give us negative 12. Then on the bottom, ooh, we got more going on here. Well, we've got 2, and then inside here we've got a square root with a 13 minus 4. A square root is another thing that can be used as a grouping symbol. So here we're going to take care of the 13 minus 4 first. So now we have the square root, 13 minus 4 is 9. Now, we take a look at what we've got going. Turns out that the square root fits in with the exponents. We could actually write it as an exponent if you wanted to, but that's a subject for another video. But the square root needs to be done first before we do this multiplication. So the square root of 9 is 3, so we have 2 times 3 on the bottom. Then finally we're down to that 2 times 3 part, so we're going to take care of that. Negative 12 over 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, now this is a situation where that fraction bar serving as a grouping symbol on the bottom means we do this multiplication first, even though the two operations that are left are division and multiplication. Okay, just be careful with that. Then finally, negative 12 divided by 6 is going to leave us with negative 2. Alright, let's take a look at one more here. Kind of a crazy looking one, but I bet we can figure it out. Alright, order of operations, let's go inside those parentheses first. So we've got negative 10 divided by 2 plus 2, and then we've got the 2 times, because that's written next to the parentheses here. So 12 minus 15 is negative 3, like so. Now, sometimes people will be thrown off by the parentheses. Remember, these parentheses are just being used to show the multiplication. It's not being used as a grouping symbol. Okay, so just be aware of that. Sometimes people want to jump to this first, and in this case it wouldn't make a difference, but sometimes it might. Remember that this is just multiplication. Alright, then we've got division, addition, multiplication. Let's take care of that division. We're going left to right here. Negative 10 divided by 2, negative 5. Then it's going to be plus, just bringing the stuff down. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Okay, and again there I'm just using the parentheses to organize this because I've got plus and negative. Then finally we add those two things together. Negative 5 plus negative 6 gives us negative 11. Alright, so order of operations, remember these letters will help us remember it. PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We do grouping symbols, exponents, multiplication and division together from left to right, and then addition and subtraction together from left to right. Some things that I sometimes see people get mixed up. Remember the addition and subtraction, multiplication and division piece. Like in a situation like we had here, we don't want to add that and then subtract. We want to do the addition and subtraction from left to right. Also, remember that the multiplication, when we have a number written next to the parentheses, don't lose that. Do yourself a favor and make it a lot easier to remember all the pieces if you just rewrite the problem. Should get simpler and simpler looking. Also, remember the fraction bar and the square root can be used as grouping symbols. And finally, be careful here where we have multiplication shown with parentheses, remember, it's just multiplication. It's not being used as a grouping symbol. Hope this video was helpful with order of operations. Keep working hard at your math. You can do it.